G'day guys, my name's Tyson. We're here at Lumberpunks Axe Throwing. Normally we'd be throwing axes, but today we're going to talk about music, our other passion, and I'm going to go through a couple of vinyl records that are in my collection that I thought were a bit interesting that we should talk about. Today we're going to be talking about bootlegs and box sets. The first one, which is one of my most interesting stories behind an album, is this one, which is called The Black Album by Prince. This particular album is bathed in a bit of controversy. This particular album, The Black Album, was the 16th album that he released, and he actually pulled it off the shelves himself. There are about 500,000 copies that were printed, and he had them recalled and destroyed. A couple of bootlegs did get out there, and that's what one of these are. The reason why he had it destroyed is he was going through a bit of a religious crisis at the time, and this album, which was recorded in 1987, was what he would originally call the Funk Bible. And it was a bit of a darker album compared to the previous releases that he had. And he believed that when he was writing this album and composing it, that he was possessed by an entity called the Spooky Electric. Other people say that he pulled it because he had a religious epiphany about the album after a night on MDMA, where he had a bit of a freak out and saw the words God over a field at Paisley Park, and started feeling that he should pull the album because it represented bad and evil and dark side of him, and he wanted to fill the world with light. He pulled the album and eventually denounced the album itself. As I said, bootlegs did get out there, which this is one of them. This is the German bootleg, roughly worth about $100–150, even though it is a bootleg. The actual, a copy of the original would fetch around $62,000 for an original version of it. He denounced this album so much that even in video clips on Alphabet Street, there's a little sign on a cane that can be read saying, "Please do not buy the Black Album," as there were so many bootlegs out there. Later on, he did finally release it through Warner Brothers in 1994 as a package deal. But yeah, that's the Prince album, Black, or otherwise known as the Funk Bible. The next album that I want to look at is another bootleg, and this is also called the Black Album, but this is a bootleg by the Beatles, or of the Beatles, called the Black Album. This is rarities and outtakes from the White Album recording. It's a pretty interesting album by itself. As you can see, like it's a gatefold, and there's a bit of artwork in there. Yeah, there's not much to it. All of the track listings are pretty much all wrong. This is the EVA version of that album, and you can tell the EVA version because of what it says on the actual label itself, the EVA records and tapes. This is the dark blue version of it, so it actually isn't as expensive as the white light blue version of this album. But yeah, this album itself fetches roughly around about the $250–300 mark. Yeah, the Beatles Black Album. It's something interesting, to listen to, but again, like the quality isn't there. It's all outtakes and different tracks that you mightn't have seen from the original. They do a couple of different versions. There's Get Back is on there, Let It Be, Bebop-A-Lula, Hi-Ho Silver, I've Got a Feeling. Just lots of different tracks on there that didn't make the cut for the White Album. So that's the Black Album bootleg by the Beatles. Now I want to talk about box sets, and this is one of my favorites. If you're a Led Zeppelin fan, you'll probably have seen this one before. This is Mothership. This is a great compilation box set of Led Zeppelin, and inside it's a 4-record box set. and it comes with a lovely little booklet that's got some awesome, interesting artwork and also bits of information about the band and different quotes from them, which is pretty cool. A bit of artwork in there. Then the 4 albums are all named after the different members of the band. So you've got the John Paul Jones album, the Robert Plant album, the Jimmy Page album, and they've all got a picture of the band member on the front, and also the John Bonham. And each album itself is sort of reflective of their style of music, the influences that they had on there. So so that's the mothership. This one's the UK pressing, and the UK pressing roughly nets around about $150 to $200. A very good album. Now this last one is one of my very favourites. It's a gem in my collection. This is The Sounds of Science by the Beastie Boys. Now this is a compilation album of lots of tracks. It's sort of designed for record DJs that wanted all of the Beastie Boys tracks on there. It's got 4 different albums. This one is sealed, and it is a limited edition run. So there's only 6,000 copies of it. This is one of them, and I've decided to keep it sealed as the value keeps high on these. And there's also a website that actually has a place where you can actually register your copy of this album on there. So I've registered on there. I don't particularly know what number this is because that's held in the booklet, which is right there. And then you have 4 different albums that have all the different tracks on there inside the box set. So I picked this up for about $150 a couple of years ago, and easily this could net $500 to $800. I've seen one go for $1,200. So that's The Sounds of Science by the Beastie Boys. So instead of opening it, I just basically just listen to all the tracks on CD. So that's the easiest way to do that. So that's some of my bootlegs and box sets. I'm Tyson, we're here at Lumberpunks. We'll see you next time.